They're the two greatest footballers to ever breathe. One's Adonis, sculpted in the image of Hercules himself, the other a miniature mold of a man. One with proficiency and power, the other gifted with grace. An ego as towering as his frame, compared to a symbol of selflessness. They're the greatest story football has ever known, and we're embarking on its final chapter. But for as many differences as Messi and Ronaldo have, they have one thing in common. Neither has been able to lead their country to a World Cup victory. Both have had international success, with Ronaldo winning the Euro with Portugal in 2016, and Messi finally bringing the Copa America back to Argentina in 2021, but both have come up short on the grandest stage. Messi has arguably had the more painful journey of the two, however, reaching the final back in 2014, where he would lose to Mario Götze's volley in the dying minutes of extra time. It wasn't just the fact that Messi lost the final that would have cemented his status as the GOAT forever. It's that he single-handedly dragged that team to the final, and when he needed his supporting cast of superstars to help him out, they couldn't. Messi would receive the Player of the Tournament award, but it proved to be little to no consolation. The trophy was within touching distance, and it slipped away. Messi carried Argentina to back-to-back Copa America finals in 2015 and 2016, losing to Chile both times, with the second loss reducing Messi to tears, announcing his retirement after the game after missing Argentina's first kick in the penalty shootout. Leo would retract his retirement shortly after in return for the 2018 World Cup in Russia, but was knocked out by eventual winners France and new world superstar Kylian Mbappe. 2019 saw Argentina finish third in the Copa America, losing to arch-rivals Brazil in the semi-final, who would go on to beat Peru in Rio de Janeiro 5 days later. The global pandemic meant that Messi and co would have to wait until 2021 to play the next Copa America behind closed doors, but it was worth the wait. Argentina finally hoisted the Copa America trophy as they beat Neymar's Brazil in the Maracanã. This was the country's first international trophy since 1993, breaking the almost 20-year drought for silverware. Messi was the joint top scorer of the tournament with Luis Diaz with 4 goals, and was also awarded the best player of the Copa. But this time he actually had some help from his teammates. Argentina actually had 5 other goal scorers apart from Messi, with up-and-coming striker Lautaro Martinez and veteran Papu Gomez contributing 5 goals between them. Rodrigo de Paul and Guido Rodriguez provided goals from midfield, and Angel Di Maria scored the only goal in the final. But it wasn't just Argentina's offense that kept it together. Young and promising central defender Christian Romero was a stalwart in the back 4, winning a spot in the Copa America Team of the Tournament next to Marquinhos. Emiliano Martinez was equally as impressive, dominating his box all tournament and seeing Argentina through the semi-final penalty shootout versus Colombia, ultimately winning the Best Goalkeeper award. And it's with this momentum that Argentina entered the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. The Albiceleste finished in second place in World Cup qualifying, winning 11 games, drawing 6 and losing 0 times. They were the only team in qualifying to have 2 players score 7 goals, with Messi and Martinez continuing to dominate as a duo up front. And when you watch them, they just look like a totally different team now. Winning that Copa America seems to have taken all the pressure off of Messi and his teammates, allowing them to finally play with the freedom and talent we know that they're capable of. And they have one of the lighter groups in the tournament to begin their journey to a final. Argentina find themselves in Group C, alongside Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. Saudi Arabia are currently the lowest ranked nation participating in the entire tournament according to FIFA World Rankings. And not that I'll ever swear by the World Rankings, but the Saudis have only advanced beyond the group stage once back in 1994, all 4 of their other qualifications ending in the group stage. Mexico, while a more formidable footballing nation, are no stranger to facing Argentina in the World Cup, losing to them 3-1 in South Africa and 2-1 in 2006 when Germany hosted. You actually have to go back 18 years to find when Mexico last beat Argentina, so it's safe to say El Tri have the work cut out for them. The Mexicans will hope to replicate their form from Russia in 2018, where they stunned Germany and beat human son South Korea. Poland, the last team in Group C, are a long way from their golden era dating back to the late 70s and early 80s. They failed to qualify during the 1990s, made it back to the group stage in 2002 and 2006, but missed out on South Africa and Brazil right after. They crashed out of Russia after only winning 1 game, and will be looking to maximize what will most likely be Robert Lewandowski's last World Cup. Argentina are favorites to win Group C, and anything other than that would honestly be a failure. But even though the expectations are just as high for the South Americans, I'm telling you, it feels like they're playing with less pressure than ever before. Argentina are complemented by Messi now. They don't force him to do everything on his own. Martinez and Romero are now staples of the defense, with the latter continuing to develop at Tottenham under Antonio Conte this season. De Paul, Lo Celso, and Paredes bring just enough creativity and tenacity to keep their midfield competitive. Lautaro has a Serie A title under his belt now, and that's before even mentioning fellow league stars Paulo Dybala and Giovanni Simeone. The supporting cast is there, and with just the right amount of magic from Messi, this just might be the year that Argentina lift the World Cup trophy, which is, ironically enough, almost the same exact argument I would use for Cristiano Ronaldo and the Portuguese national team. Now I say almost for a reason. Messi has a decent supporting cast, but Ronaldo, I would argue, might actually have the best starting 11 in the entire tournament. Ruben Diaz and Joao Cancelo make up half of the most dominant defense in the Premier League. Diaz's ability on the ball and tremendous strength off of it make him the perfect player to build a defense around. Cancelo is arguably the best fullback on the planet right now and is good enough to play midfield for most nations, let alone left back, but will likely see himself shifted over to the right to accommodate either Rafael Guerreiro or Nuno Mendes. 20-year-old Mendes is currently thriving in PSG, bombing forward as part of an aggressive playstyle opposite Achraf Hakimi. Guerreiro offers more precision and technique going forward at Borussia Dortmund, with goals in his locker that even wingers would be jealous of. Either left back will likely see himself shielded in the midfield by Ruben Neves, William Carvalho, or Danilo Pereira, destructive ball winners at the European level. Vitinha, João Mario, and Renato Sanchez will compete for a place in the center of midfield, but the higher we move up the pitch, the more exciting it gets. Bruno Fernandes brings balance to the power of the team, but the most dangerous, most creative, technically flawless midfielder in the whole competition is probably Bernardo Silva. Bernardo will look to weave past defenders and unleash the pace and power of Rafael Leao, the 23-year-old Serie A champion with Milan looking to impress at his first World Cup. There's just no other way to say it. Portugal are absolutely stacked, and I haven't even mentioned experienced leaders like Pepe, or wildcards like Joao Felix and Andre Silva that could have their moments to shine too. I don't want to sound like I'm discounting other teams, but anything less than a quarterfinal from this group is embarrassing. And the crazy thing is, historically it sounds like I'm asking for a lot. The country has only made it beyond the round of 16 once in the last 20 years. In 2002, when Portugal had some of the best players on the planet, they crashed out of a group containing South Korea and the United States. Cristiano would partake in his first international tournament 2 years later, and it would end in even worse heartbreak for the people of Portugal as they lost to heavy underdog Greece in the final. The tournament was seen as an embarrassment for the country, but saw a passing of the guard from former Ballon d'Or winner Luis Figo to their new pinup boy. Ronaldo's first World Cup was in Germany, 2006, where Portugal reached the semi-final, the best finish he would achieve with the national team to this day. The infamous altercation with Wayne Rooney would ironically be more memorable than their loss to France later in the tournament. Ronaldo and company were less lucky in South Africa, as they landed in the same group as Brazil and the Ivory Coast. They rose to the challenge, however, finishing second in the group, highlighted by a 7-0 victory over North Korea. They would lose, however, to eventual winners Spain in the round of 16, with top scorer David Villa sealing their 1-0 defeat. Portugal would meet Spain again in the 2012 Euro semi-final, only for Ronaldo to be involved in controversy again, being denied a chance to take a penalty in the deciding shootout. 2014 would see them trend in the wrong direction as Portugal were battered 4-0 by eventual champions Germany. They tied 2-2 with the United States and only managed a win against Ghana, missing out on the round of 16 due to goal difference. It was Ronaldo's worst tournament so far, only scoring once, adding to his unimpressive career at the World Cup so far. But then came the anomaly of the 2016 Euro. Portugal finished third in a group containing Hungary, Iceland, and Austria, fielding perhaps their least talented roster in Ronaldo's international career. The underachievers turned clinical as they faced favorable draws in a knockout phase, beating Croatia in the round of 16, Poland in the quarterfinals, and Wales in the semifinal. Ronaldo faced dominant host nation France in the final, who were overwhelming favorites to lift the trophy on home soil. CR7 would suffer an injury early on, unable to hold tears back as football's proudest player was subbed off shortly after. And in true Sideline Starters fashion, Ronaldo was still able to rally his team to victory from the bench. Cristiano had captained his country to their first ever international trophy, a feat that escaped even the great Eusebio. Ronaldo continued his heroics 2 years later by putting the country on his back in the 2018 World Cup, scoring the only goal in their 1-0 victory over Morocco and scoring a hat-trick against Spain in one of the most iconic performances of his career. But Cavani's brace in the round of 16 would see Portugal fail to reach a quarterfinal yet again, marking the end to another disappointing World Cup campaign. Another round of 16 exit in the 2020 Euro campaign would see Portugal failing to build off of that Euro victory that gave the nation hope for a promising future. Which brings us to Ronaldo's last chance to win it all, Qatar 2022. They share a group with Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. Ghana make their return to the World Cup stage after failing to qualify for Russia in 2018. The African nation boasts several Premier League talents such as Arsenal's Thomas Partey, up-and-coming defender Mohamed Salisu, and veteran Jordan Ayew. Ajax's Mohamed Kudus is an exciting attacking talent, and newly nationalized Ironman Inaki Williams will likely lead the line going forward. It's a powerful and energetic team that can give any nation a handful, and the same can be said for Uruguay. With Suarez and Cavani being at the end of their international careers, Uruguay will look to their new promising number 9, Darwin Núñez. Despite a rocky start to his Liverpool career, Núñez has picked up his form in the last month, getting hot just at the right time. The potential world beater will be supported by a midfield consisting of Federico Valverde, perhaps the best young box-to-box midfielder in the world right now, and Rodrigo Bentancur, a revelation in Tottenham's midfield since signing last January. Veterans Jimenez and Muslera will likely return in the defense, making Uruguay a solid sleeper this tournament. And while Korea will always be able to hang their hat on the game-changing ability of Heung-min Son, it will take an inspired effort from Napoli's Kim Min-jae and former up-and-comer Hwang Hee-chan to make some noise this time around. Portugal's road to the knockouts isn't exactly the group of death, but it's not a cakewalk either. With that being said, they are favorites to win the group comfortably and will look to capitalize on a squad that can truly be described as a golden generation. And there we have it, the immovable object and the unstoppable force converging one last time. Two symbols of success whose two fan bases crossed the border of worship over a decade ago. Two men who have given the sport absolutely everything, at last in the position for others to finally give back. Two countries from two continents, set to compete in two groups 2 weeks from now, ready to play the greatest game on the greatest stage for the greatest prize, to ultimately decide who is the greatest of all time.